we've had some previous exchanges about Stoicism, and you have been just a great resource of hooking me into the Stoicism philosophy.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
I've read Meditations of Ryan Holiday has been great. I've been reading a lot of him. How has that journey of discovering Stoicism been for you, and what value do you get out of it? And maybe explain Stoicism a little bit for people who don't know.
Right. Stoicism, we have a different connotation of Stoic today than the Stoics years ago. Classical Stoicism was really three writers, but they got stuff done in the world. The first was Epictetus, who was a slave in ancient Greece and worked his way to freedom, originally writing the original writings that Seneca, the second big Stoic writer. Seneca was the Warren Buffett of the Roman Empire. He financed the expansion of Rome. He was best friends with the emperors, and he practiced a philosophy that said he would be happy with nothing, with very little. So when he was exiled by Nero, and I think it was not Caligula, but I think Nero was the one who exiled him, mm-hmm. All of a sudden he lost everything, and his disciples wrote that he was as peaceful with the rock that they put him on in the Aegean Sea as he was with all his wealth. And then when all his wealth came back, it was like he never changed. There's a philosophy in Stoicism that says that it's like our life is like we're at a big banquet table. And most of us, we see the plate being passed on the other side, and we want that, and we start to reach across and grab it, but that's not our lot in life. That when the plate is passed, what comes right in front of us, whether it's extreme wealth or extreme poverty, we can find joy in whatever is placed in front of us. And that's a tenet of Stoicism that way. The third big writer was Marcus Aurelius. He was the last great benevolent mm-hmm. emperor of Rome, literally the most powerful man in the world, and wrote a diary. His diary survives, and it's called Meditations. He wrote it for himself, didn't write it for anyone. They found it after he died. And he writes things to himself like, remember that you will not care if your name is on buildings or what you have accomplished after you die, that Alexander the Great is buried in the same ground as the man who kept his donkeys. He wrote that to himself to remind himself, push forward, do your duty, create excellence, but don't read your own press. Don't let it go to your head. And so he remained peaceful that way. A couple of the big tenets of Stoicism that are immensely helpful to me, and then as I talk particularly with these days those maybe who are on the other side of where here we're talking in a startup space, working with a lot who are having exits, and some of the times those are big exits, that everything in life falls, Seneca said, everything in life falls into two categories: those things I can control and those things I cannot control. And those things I cannot control, I should completely divorce myself from any emotion attached to things I cannot control. And if you think about it, it makes sense. If I don't like the weather outside, the fact that I get all angry about it, it does not affect the weather at all. And so the real energy should be spent not caring what the weather is outside, divorcing any emotion from those things I cannot control, and just taking action on things I can control. So you think about the political environment. I can't control the complexion of Congress, me and myself, right? So I should not concern myself at all with whoever rules Congress right now. But what could I do? I could walk neighborhoods. I could give to whatever cause I believe in. I could grab friends and try to convince them. Take action on things only I can control. And then finally, the other thing, it's really fascinating. Seneca is the Warren Buffett of the Roman Empire. Once a month, he would go to a town where no one knew him and dress like a beggar and beg for his food all day. just to remind himself that he could be happy with nothing. And that's one thing that we don't realize, that hedonic treadmill is a real thing. You sell your company for $10 million, and all of a sudden you're hanging around people that sold their companies for $100 million. You're going, well, I'm not successful. What did I do? I've been lazy. I mean, I haven't done that. You sell your company for $100 million, and you're around people that have sold 3 companies for north of $100 million. And then those people are looking at billionaires saying, oh, well, I'm not there. And so people die with huge amounts of wealth, completely unhappy, and they don't continue to take risk because they're afraid of failure. Where Stoicism, this is my distillation of that concept, is I try to remind myself every day, want less, give more. So I want to be happy with a cup of clean water, and deliriously happy with that. And I want to give more to the world than I did yesterday, which means I would touch more people, add more value to the world. More people are naturally going to buy my product. And that's where I find that the balance and the tension.
I think that is a good balance to have. And it's something I'm struggling with in my own head, is hedonic treadmills are an absolute thing, but what is the balance between being a monk with nothing but being satisfied with the world, but then having the right hedonic treadmills where you're surrounded by people who make you perform at the best level, if that makes sense?
To me, that's why I like Stoicism over Buddhist philosophy, or what would else fall in that category? You know, some others that you mentioned, the monk and the I want to. I say a different S word, but I want to get stuff done in this world, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't want to be sitting in a room like this or in a temple and just contemplating. That's where I see the Stoics, I think, at least for me, hitting that balance where they made an impact in the world they lived in, and they had such peace. One of the highest values of Stoicism is tranquility. And you had the first investment banker on the globe in Seneca, and the Emperor of Rome, the person who was running the world at the time, in a very tranquil setting, being personally tranquil. Having that as one of their highest good. The two are not mutually exclusive. We don't have to take a writer's crop and beat ourselves to move faster. Strivers naturally look at a world and become curious and we want to improve things and fix things. So it's getting rid of, I think that's what Stoicism helps mow down the speed bumps, rather than making us losing the word here, not atrophy, but apathy. That's the word I'm looking for, right? Making us apathetic. So I think it's a difficult balance, but in Stoicism, I believe that shows up.
Yeah, it's because you don't want to be, I don't think, a fulfilled monk, but have your potential unfulfilled, only be living 1%. And so I like, that's what's attractive to me about the Stoic philosophy, is having a duty, having your responsibilities, and really striving to add as much value to the world as you can before they put dirt on you.
Right.
So.
Right. And the Stoics talk a lot about it with duty, about doing our duty, improving the world. Right.